Good morning. This is Samuel Jacob Kirchner, voice of the BREAZE, welcoming you to our Saturday morning live stream hangout meditation. So, in the background, I'm playing a song, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart by Al Green. And the reason why I'm playing this song is that this week I was in touch a lot with how many people, including myself, are a broken heart waiting to happen. What do I mean by that? Um, how many people's heart has been broken and somehow maybe wasn't tended to? And how life throws us a curve daily. And it triggers often the broken heart that has not been mended. And when the broken heart is triggered, there is no end to what could happen. And it starts by happening inside of us and then can be easily projected out because it's done in a place, from a place of unawareness. So, to speak a little bit more about it, this week, my first teacher of first love, Louise Hay, passed away. She was 91, and I've known her for over 30 years. And she had an amazing heart. But she also had a broken heart. And I learned so much from her about how to love and accept myself exactly as I am. But at a certain point, about 5 years after I met her and practiced and taught her approach to people with AIDS and their loved ones and supporters at a time that was devastating and horrendous, with no positive messages, with no hope. You know, the 80s, when AIDS came about. And she was one of the only people around who had a positive message to people who literally had nothing to look forward to but horrific devastation, terrible death, and humiliation, shame. This was under the Reagan administration, where AIDS wasn't even acknowledged until years later. So, I also became a teacher of her approach, and I was sent to teach self-love in Madrid, and people love that message because who who tells us, maybe now more than before, but who tells us that it's okay for us to love ourselves? Who tells us that we don't have to be afraid of God, but perhaps love God? Well, yes, much more now than before. I do believe that Louise was one of the ambassadors of that message, that love heals. And yes, many people died, but they died differently because we're all going to die. The question is, how? How are you going to die? And usually, how you're going to die is how you live. So I'm not meaning to be morbid here, but I am not somebody who is afraid of dying simply because I've been in a couple of situations in which death felt like salvation. I couldn't bear the pain of living and couldn't stop obsessing about dying as a way to get out of this misery. So I'm not really afraid of dying, but I don't want to live in this anticipation anxiety of dying a horrible death, which is pretty much where I came from, where I come from. And so I'm doing everything I can nowadays to live my life in the present and to live it in a sacred manner and in celebration. As the Hopi message tells us, I'm trying to do something here. Yes, I know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put this on a loop, so bear with me for a moment. So the chimes that you are hearing in the background are part of coherent breathing developed by Stephen Elliott. And it's a breathing that I have learned to use and to make it the key to love. What do I mean by that? See, we have this notion that love is something that we have to earn and that it has to come from outside of us in the form of a lover or a husband or a wife or a partner that's going to love us. And then we'll be happy. And there's yet another way. I think of this as a little bit more codependent. There's a way of accessing our love directly through the breath, through the heart, through going inside and opening the door, the window to love by allowing it, inviting it, summoning it in us, in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts. And we can actually ask the breath, love of life to infuse us, to heal us where we hurt, where we feel unwhole, where we ache. But we have to do it. We have to do the summoning the invitation, the opening of the heart. That is self-healing. That is what I had to develop after initially being introduced to self-love by Louise Hay. And I did a great job with her work. Um, I remember there was a training that I did with her in California, sometimes in 1989 or 88. And she gave us these little bears, and we had to look in the mirror and say, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. And yeah, you know, when much is at stake in your life, this is not a big deal. For many people, it was, though. Because if you try to look in the mirror and say to yourself, in this day and age, with all that's going on in the world, just say, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. It's very daring. And most people can get like a little cynical about it. Oh, please, you know, this is for some naive Pollyanna kids. But you know, sometimes when your mind is riddled with so much negativity and awful thoughts, awful thinking, to find that little innocent place inside of us, little like the little person, and to be able to go back to that innocence. Oh, there's nothing like it. One of the things I love most about my life right now is that I'm not carrying grudges, and I'm not carrying my past in my body and in my emotion and my heart. No, I have let go. That's the work. I have let go of so much of it. And I feel that I re-found my innocence. It's like growing a hymen. Why not? Growing a new hymen when you haven't been a virgin for a while. It's possible. Of course, I'm being metaphoric here, but I'm really talking about walking around with a clear and light heart, healing the broken heart. Because whose heart hasn't been broken? Whose heart has not been broken? And we are living at a time where so many people are walking around with broken hearts and are totally out of themselves. Terrorized, they become terrorists. Insecure, they become president. And they run our lives. What about taking the time to heal and mend your broken heart so that you don't have to project it all over the place? So now I breathe sometimes with this little person, my breathing body. And I discovered the breathing body actually from Pet Gerbar in Berlin. In October of last year, we went, about 7 of us, to work with Syrian refugees and to teach them how to breathe in a healing way. And we worked with kids too. And kids love their little breathing bodies. It helps them really get into breathing. You know, we can't go with kids with too heavy and deep concepts, but who can't relate to Placing your little breathing body on your heart and breathing with your breathing body, taking care of yourself as you take care of your little breathing body. So nowadays, when I tell people and myself to take care of yourself, and the reason why you want to take better care of yourself is that if you sit in a plane and the pressure in the cabin goes down and there isn't enough oxygen and the masks drop from the ceiling and you have an infant sitting on your lap, you don't put the mask on the infant's face. You put it on your own face, and then you put it on the infant's face, because if you pass out, who's going to put it on the infant? So you got to take care of yourself first in that way of providing enough oxygen for yourself, taking care of your soul. So I was in Kripalu. It's a center for yoga in the Berkshires this last Thursday. And I did a presentation there of the BREAZE. And we breathed and we danced and we shared with each other and with ourselves about our broken hearts and how we're mending our broken hearts. So I'd like to play to you now a track that has in it the Hopi message and the BREAZE message and the 5 steps of the BREAZE, which I will demonstrate as we are listening to this track. Shake and awake. Flowing. Standing like a tree. walking like an elephant with grace. Dance and celebrate. So how do you feel right now regarding your broken heart? You feel that your broken heart can be mended? Would you like to mend your broken heart? In a sacred manner and in celebration. To be heavy. This is one of the wonderful messages of the Hopi elders, is the idea that we are the ones we have been waiting for inside, and that we can heal, mend our broken hearts in a sacred manner and in healing celebration. Because you know, so many times We are operating from such a broken place. We talk, we react from such an unwhole place within ourselves. So much acting out nowadays. So many hurtful words are being spoken from the highest ranks. Such terrible examples of how words can literally kill. They can kill the soul. They can wound the heart. So I am definitely a person whose heart has been broken and who is learning to breathe love into my broken heart and mend it daily, moment by moment, breath by breath. And I've been privileged to be doing this with kids, adults, mentally ill people, colleges, refugees. So I want to just tell you about, if you want to do more work at mending your broken heart and find the key to the love inside of you, in the breath, in your heart. I have two particular programs that are conducive in that way. One is a 7-week program of developing a conscious breathing practice, and a 12-week program called Artists of Living in the Present, that is for people who want to be held accountable to implement this in their daily lives, moment by moment, breath by breath. To find more information about all the above, you can go to my website, thebreeze.com, BREAZE. And with these words, I want to wish you a day filled with oxygen, joy, and ease. This is Samuel Jacob Kirshner, Voice of the Breeze. See you next Saturday at 8 a.m.